Hey there, welcome to this tutorial episode. Something that's been asked a lot through the YouTube comments is how do you create independent copies of samples? Now, it's not just as simple as it sounds because, as you already know if you followed this tutorial series, when we load a sample up, let's go to load. Let's say we just wanted to play around with a drum break or something. I've got this one here, it's 4 bars, 83 BPM. I want to load that to my pad. Hopefully you already know that whenever I load it to a pad or I just say load to pool, that's where it's going. It loads it to the sample pool. And whenever we create copies of this, we're referencing that same sample. So what I mean by that is let's load it up to a pad and go to main. There we can see our drum loop. Let's put it in full level. Play a little portion of that. If we wanted to make a copy, then we can press the copy button and we can select the destination. Say I want a copy of that onto pad 2. And now I have 2 identical copies of that sample. But I'm not creating independent copies. I'm creating 2 versions that are referencing the same sample. So inside of our sample pool, and a good place to look at what's in the sample pool is sample edit, you will see there aren't 2 copies of that break in here. If we had independent copies, that's what you'd see. You'd have 2 versions, but we don't. We're always referencing the same copy. So on our main page, we know we've got these really long drum loops, and we know that if we go to sample edit now, and I make some kind of permanent change in here, let's say we crop it all the way down to, I don't know, just 1 kick drum, like this, and I process it and say discard. When I go to main, I've done that to both these samples because they're referencing that main copy of the sample, so these are now short. It's down to kick drums for both of them. It's changing that main copy. So sometimes you might need an independent copy of the sample. We'll just undo that for a second, so that we've got the full drum loop back. And if we go back to main, we have our independent start points. That's great. So when you're dealing with the samples, let's say on one of these, we just wanted it nice and short like we just had it. So it's short. On this one here, I want to open it up a little bit. You can see they're kind of independent in that way. But what you might need is full independence. One example of this, and there are many, is that let's say we've got a 4-bar loop, just like this one, a 4-bar drum loop. I've got it recorded into my sequence. Now, I want to make a new sequence, and that sequence I only want to be 2 bars long. When it comes to drum loop samples, just as again, as one example of this, you may find that if it's a real live drummer, when you crop it down from 4 to 2, it won't be an exact loop. And so how can you tweak that then? How could you time stretch it? How could you edit it without changing your main copy? Because that's going to change for every sequence. And you might only want to time stretch that one independent copy for an individual sequence. Well, then you have to make an independent copy of the sample. And that's quite simple. There's a couple of ways that you could do it. One would be to go into the sampler and just resample the output. You could just resample that and create a new sample. But a quicker way is if you've got the sample loaded up, let's say onto a pad like this, and I don't know, we'll leave it the full length for now. If I go into the track edit where the sample is loaded up, this little button here allows me to flatten a pad. Now, what's cool about flattening a pad is that you can actually take effects with that. So if we had some delay or reverb or something applied to that particular drum track, that particular sample, then when I flatten it, it will flatten it with those effects. But in this case, all we want is a copy. We just want an independent copy. So we take that pad, we say flatten it. We can even give it a new name, and we'll just call it copy for now so that you can see that it creates this new copy. Say do it, and just say do it. And that's it. It's going to export it. Now when we go to sample edit, we'll see 2 copies, 2 independent copies that could be tweaked of their own accord. So one could be time stretched if need be, and you would have independent control because it's not going to reference back to exactly the same sample. I hope that makes sense. People have asked me a lot about this because it seems like when you create a copy of a sample, just using the regular copy button and you copy it over, you would think that was a completely new sample that you could crop if you wanted to, and you could do other permanent changes, but you won't. You will change all of your samples that reference that same sample. You have to make an independent copy. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.